I've never once wished that I was doing something else. I've never wanted to stop. I've never questioned what I was doing. I knew from age 9 that I was going to be a dancer, and that was it. From then on, I never questioned it. And a couple of people asked me along the way, if you weren't dancing, what do you think you would do? And I can't answer that question because it's just part of me, it's who I am. I'm a dancer, and I never wanted to be anything else. I can't imagine a life that is different to that. So the moment that the performance had finished, the actual last dance step had finished, and we came back on stage to take the bow. I felt so alive. I felt really euphoric. I felt like everything had gone right, and there was almost a little bit of relief that I'd made it. I'd made it to the end of it, and I just could hear the applause, and I looked out at all these people, and I could see all the lights, and it felt amazing. I just want to remember that, and it's a lovely memory to have etched on my brain. I started point work when I was 9 years old, which I know now is a little bit too young because your feet, your bones are still very soft, so they're still forming, and you don't have the correct muscles in your legs yet to be able to support you on point. The teachers that I had at ballet school were incredibly strict. At the time I just sort of went with it, and you don't know anything different, but thinking back on it now, I can't believe that that's what we had to go through. They were so strict. There were sort of a lot of physical things that they would do. They'd smack you a bit if your arm position wasn't in the correct position. If this was how it was meant to be, and if you sort of dropped your elbow down a little bit, they would just come along and whack you, hit you quite hard to get it in the correct position. I heard of a girl that put something in another girl's point shoes, so that when she put her point shoe on, her feet ended up getting really cut. And it might have been a piece of glass, or I don't know, something sharp enough and small enough that you wouldn't notice, but once you put your foot in the point shoe, that it would cut the foot. So of course then you'd be out, you couldn't dance for quite a while, because even one small cut on your foot just makes it quite difficult to dance on point. Saying that, I also had a lot of really, really good friends at school, and they become your family because you're not with your family when you're at boarding school, so you need a lot of support from your friends. When I was asked to do this performance in New York, I felt like this is it. I think I have to make this the last performance, because I felt like I couldn't get any better than that now at this stage. And I felt satisfied that would be the last performance. So I kind of made my mind up that was it. And once I'd made my mind up, it was kind of certain. It's all about beauty and grace and line, but in reality, what you have to get to, what you have to do to get to that point is so extreme, and it's painful and it's hard work, and sometimes you can't even breathe because it's so hard to do those things. It's quite funny that what the audience sees is a completely different picture of how it is to do it in reality and how it is to achieve it. I wonder sometimes what the audience would think if they knew how much effort goes into something to make it look so beautiful. A few years ago, I had a really horrible back injury, and as soon as it happened, I felt this sort of pain radiate across my back and down my legs, and I felt I lost the feeling in my leg. I couldn't use my foot, I couldn't wiggle my toes. It was really extreme, and I knew as soon as I got that injury that was going to be quite life-changing, that was going to perhaps be the injury that would stop me. I feel like it's made me very strong. I feel like certain things that might get thrown at me in life, I feel like I fight against it and feel like I'm going to get through it. I'm going to fight through it no matter what it is, because that's how I've had to get through my dance life. I've had a lot of obstacles in my dance life. It hasn't been plain sailing, but I've fought through it, and I feel like I've kind of I think it's just naturally shaped me in my everyday life that I've been a bit of a fighter. But then the curtain comes down and the audience stop clapping and you're just left on stage alone. I turned to my partner and gave him a big hug, and we take our stuff and go up to the dressing room to get out of your costume, and you start taking your makeup off and you're all alone, and it felt quite poignant that was the end. That was, there's no going back from that. And it just suddenly felt, from being in front of 3,000 people all cheering you and applauding you, to suddenly being alone in your dressing room and it's over, felt like quite a strong moment.